All right, welcome back. So now that we have our terrain here, let's just set up a quick render scene. I'm going to go into the Mantra nodes here, and we're going to set the redshift renders up later, but for now we're just going to go into Mantra and set up the skylight. Let's control click that. So we've got our skylight and our sunlight. Okay, let's create a shader for the mountain here. So I'm going to go create this in the material network. I'm just going to drop down a principled shader. And again, we're not going to get too involved with the shading. I'm going to keep it really, really simple. I'm going to keep all my nodes up in the material network here. And let's source that from the render material here. Let's find our principled shader. And whoops, let's go into the material, principal shader. First thing I want to do is turn off the reflectivity. And so now we've got this color here. So to use the color that we saw in that visualization, what we're going to have to do is go into our mountain here. I'm going to do a couple things. So first of all, let's throw down a height field visualize. And this is how we can, after the fact, we can visualize all of our details again. So in the height field visualize, let's go to compute the range of our mountain. And it's giving us a ramp here. In our layers, we can start viewing our different masks. So for instance, we can use view the debris. And I'm going to make the debris a little kind of greeny brown color. And now actually for the water, I'm not going to be rendering any water in this scene, mainly because, for this big waterfalls and stuff, we want moving water, and I'd want to sim that, but it's going to be covered in trees. So I'm not going to use the water. I'm going to use the water mask instead as more of like a dirt color, similar to what we had before. Maybe just darker. Maybe it's the summer season and it's kind of dried up a little bit. You can see those areas. It's going to darken that down a little bit. All right, so that's how we just reshade our mountain real quick. So but before that, what I want to do is mainly for the shading of our mountain here, it's going to mostly be covered in trees. So the main kind of detail I do want is going to be on the tops of these ridges for rocks. So what I want to do is create a mask just in kind of for these areas. So what I want to do is I want to throw down, before our visualize, let's throw down a height field mask by feature. And let's try to grab those areas just from the top. So mainly I'm going to mask by height. I want to compute the range. I want to limit it. Make sure we're just getting a mask from the top here. Let's make sure we're getting anything in red is going to be the mask. So let's just make sure we're grabbing the super top of the mountain. And maybe we kind of fade in this mask here a little bit. So we've limited it by height pretty easily. Okay. So instead of also limiting by curvature, I kind of want to get the tops. And I found you could try the slope as well. But I found that I'm actually going to do it by the occlusion. So Let's go mask by occlusion. And I'm just kind of bring this up to kind of clip these areas a little better there. So that's how I'm kind of limiting just the areas of the tops of the rocks. So I'm liking that. So that's what we're going to use to drive the displacement and rock shader on our mountain. So okay, we've got that in a mask. So let's take a look at our height field visualize. And we can load that into our layer 1 here. Let's load in that mask. That's what we just created. Maybe let's make this a black. Perfect. So that was pretty easy. So now we can limit our displacement and kind of rock shader to these areas. So the last thing we want to do to bake these colors into the point data, let's go to height field, convert height field. And now this is going to bake. If we select bake point colors, we're going to be able to use that attribute now when we go to shade it. So it's going to take a moment to cook. Let's view that. And finally, I'm just going to drop down a null. Let's make that out. All right, so the next lesson, let's go ahead and set up a quick and easy shader for the mountain here.